Yo te traigo esta bomba puertorriqueña. Yo te la traigo de Cupey, de Vega Baja y de Santurce, de todas partes de Puerto Rico. Esta bomba yo la dedico a toda mi gente de Puerto Rico, a la familia Fontanet, allá en Cupey Alto y Lo Mejía en Vega Baja. ¡Que gocen! ¡Sí!
Bomba, bomba, para siempre.
Bomba, bomba está presente, aquí lo canta mi gente.
Bomba, bomba, para siempre.
Baila, baila y goza, mi bomba puertorriqueña.
Bomba, bomba. Bomba, bomba. Bomba, bomba.
This archaeology. Get out of there, Dan!
All right, so both our audio should be live, so hello everyone.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Long time no
Yeah, that's true.
stream.
Sorry, I just made
Yeah.
this coffee. It's super hot.
So
Oh my god. You know, not to start off with something really boring, but I have to admit, I bought an air fryer recently, and out of all the things I've ever bought for this job, for like
yeah.
traveling, it is like my favorite thing, even though it's the biggest, least practical thing
Mhm.
ever.
Now, is it an air fryer or did you buy an instant pot that has an air
No, I
fryer
bought the
attachment?
Ninja air fryer.
Okay, gotcha. Because I've seen the instant pots have like the original like instant pot brand. They now have a lid you can put on it that turns the instant pot into an air fryer. So it's one of our living in this RV right here. It's one of our most useful tools, to be honest. Is that we don't have the air fryer attachment, but that instant pot, we use it for
Oh,
everything.
interesting.
I mean, lots of stuff. Even though we have a full stove and
Oh,
convection
'cause I
microwave.
found the opposite. I didn't use my I haven't really used my instant pot. I've mostly just been using my air fryer. Mostly because I don't know about you guys, but when I was at home living,
Mhm.
because when I'm here, my most used appliance is my oven, and the air fryer is basically just an oven.
Yeah.
Also, I will say that
Well,
I will
yeah,
s-
I hear you. Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you're doing.
well, and I was gonna say that it doesn't if you like cook a steak in it or something, it doesn't stink up your hotel room like anything else would, which is really handy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things, right? It just keeps it all
Oh, by the
internal.
way, we should start off
So,
with field. We should
nice,
start off with
nice.
fieldwork stories.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
go ahead.
no, I mean, you've been doing field work, not me. So you go ahead with a field work
Well,
story.
obviously a little bit of background, but yesterday I was telling Chris that I'm currently working in a town that feels like it's worse than El Centro, which is kind of hard. And I'll give you a perfect little story, everyone out there. I am at this hotel, and I am near the front desk. And every morning, like around 1, 2, or 3 in the morning, there'd be a homeless person who would try to storm the lobby and like sleep there. Because obviously they close off the main part of the lobby,
Jeez.
but they've got the little like night window. And the night window is inside inside
Yeah.
like, inside like the hallway where all the rooms are. And so every morning, like literally, I was like 2 doors away from like the night window, and every morning, oh my God, it was like bad enough that I almost felt like sleeping in the desert.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I hear you. Some of those hotels down in Nowheresville 395 in southeastern California are something.
Well, it's
Yeah, they're
enough to
something.
make you want to buy a camper.
So we kind of experienced that on the road here. Yeah. I was gonna say we experienced that
Yeah.
on the road here because when we're in like legit RV parks, there are a lot of people that live there full time,
I
and
imagine.
it feels a little bit sometimes like being in one of those old hotels. Right now, we're in a beautiful state recreation area. It's like a nature preserve outside Charlotte, North
neat.
Carolina, and people there's a stay limit.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, there's a stay limit here, so you don't get long-term
Oh.
residents, which yeah, well, it's like any state thing, there's like I think there's a 14-day stay limit. We're only here for 7 days, but it's all people here on vacation, so it's a very different vibe than people who live there, go to work every day.
There you go. Oh, interesting. I just realized we're not quite on center. I don't think that matters too much. Oh, lame. Ah, there we go.
Yeah,
Whatever. That's good enough. Anyway,
we got a little bit of a lag too because of my signal,
really?
I'm sure.
it's interesting. I don't know if you looked it up yesterday, because obviously
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Nomadland in a second, but let's see. I did want to mention that I've been looking at trailers, I've been looking at many things, including housing, and we'll start with the
Mhm.
housing. So basically, my rent went up. I don't know if anyone knows that. If we talked about that last time, but my rent has gone up, and now it's like basically a house payment every month.
Mhm.
And I use the app Trulia,
Jeez.
and Trulia, not only it sends you recommendations, it also calculates your payment per month. And so we have mutual friends, like we Stuart and Jenny and Ty, and they live in a certain neighborhood here in Reno. And Trulia yesterday
Yeah.
sent me a recommendation for a 3-bedroom house in their neighborhood, and it's literally the same amount that I'm paying right now for this little apartment, but it needs like 3 bedrooms. And I'm
Jeez.
like, oh my God. And this is
Wow.
why
That's
I
crazy.
have been seriously looking, because I obviously first I want to reduce my payments every month, to like build up a down payment for a house. And so I've been seriously looking at campers and trailers,
Mm-hmm.
and the one I zoned in on was the Rockwood
Mm-hmm.
GeoPro. And for people who aren't familiar with that, the GeoPro, obviously Rockwood has all their trailers, and the GeoPro is is their tech package basically, like all the modern amenities you might need. So like it comes with a built-in router, so you can just plug in your SIM card, and it's got the a built-in Wi-Fi extender, and it's got the built-in solar panels and a built-in inverter. So all you need to do is put in batteries and all sorts of things like that. Oh, and all the appliances are 12 volts. So technically you don't really need anything other than to put in water, batteries, and propane, and then you're ready to go. Which I thought
Mm-hmm.
was super cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Unfortunately, that only all comes in the
Yeah.
2021 model, and obviously trailers lose a lot of value. Like a lot of it.
Yes, they do. But that being said, if you buy one off the lot, yes. But if you happen to find, because shows are starting to kick
Ooh.
back off again too, especially shows related to, people buying for the next
Yeah.
camping season. And I was just looking at something the other day. I belong to a bunch of RV groups
Yeah.
on Facebook, and somebody bought a 2021 model of this
Oh, really?
motorhome right here, but it's not the same exact
Yeah.
version, but a same brand and name. This is a Holiday Rambler Vacationer, but they come in like 15 different trim
Yeah.
levels. So I don't know which one they got, but the retail on it was like 199,000 if you were to
Wait,
drive it
really?
off the lot, and yeah, for 2021. But they got it at a show for
Oh,
155K,
really?
and the show knocked almost $50,000 off the price, because that's what shows do. So I'll tell you what, if you want to buy a brand new one, you're right. Don't buy it off the lot unless they're having a crazy sale. But try to find a show where they're being featured, and you might be able to get, 25, 30% off. And that covers your depreciation, and you still get it,
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
you, Richie, you're a different kind of person too, right? Like you're not the kind of guy that's going to buy one of these and then sell it in 2
No.
years. You're probably going to not sell it ever, and you're going to give it to your grandchildren, right? I mean, that's just how
Maybe.
you are. So
Oh, did you just freeze it?
really shouldn't think about depreciation. Think about what you want to get, because
No,
am
you're
I
back
frozen?
now.
Yeah, I probably am. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, people like you shouldn't really concern yourself with depreciation. You should just concern yourself with getting what you
Yeah.
want, getting the best thing that you want. And honestly, you should buy brand new, because you are the type of person that will keep this kind of thing for a really long time. And you want something that's got the
Yeah.
latest features, the latest technology, the latest everything, so it will
Yeah.
last longer, right? So I think depending on what your goals are, there is a case to buy new. But like I said, try to buy it at a show or at a big sale, so you can cover some of that depreciation, because you are
The
throwing a little
problem
money
is,
away.
I think Nevada, specifically northern Nevada, is like RPod territory, and it's hard to find a dealer here or a show that's showing Rockwoods.
Mm.
The only ones I've been able to find that are close by are all in California.
Well, there's not that many shows in
That's
Nevada
true.
anyway, right? There's like the Sparks RV show, which was last June, and then I don't know what other shows they have, but you're probably going to have to go to California. But drive over there, because I don't know what the Geo Pros go for brand new, but I mean, if you can drive to California and save yourself $5,000-$10,000, why would
That's true.
you may as well.
Oh
So,
man, it's
yeah, and you're I was gonna say, run the thing. You're working down in like central Southern California. I mean, you've pretty much got the whole state. If you just look at the show schedule and see if you can't just hit one of those, man. But those good deals, they go in the first few days of the show. Like if you get there on day 2 or 3 and it's a 5-day show, you're going to see sold signs on everything.
Oh my God. I've been traveling back and forth between, here in Southern California. You know what I've noticed? The fact that there's now a bajillion of those, those Sprinter, like they're not all Sprinter van conversions. Like some of them are like the
Yeah.
Ram ones. But yeah, the majority of them are those
Yeah.
off-road 4x4 vans, and I'm like, wow, that is crazy. I almost want to, it's almost tempting to wait for those to like become used enough to like afford. But then I'm like, man, then I'd have two vehicles. I'd have to get to Southern California because it's a long story.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the
Yeah.
biologists right now I was working with last week, he has this 4x4 Ford van that he converted himself. And he is not willing to go to the same place as I am because A, it's his house, and B, because it's a lot heavier. Obviously, my truck obviously isn't that heavy, so it's not going to sink that far into the sand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to consider. I've taken this motorhome here in places
really?
I probably shouldn't have. Not really though. But we do have to make considerations where we're taking it because it is our home. You know what I mean? And I guess we could always go back to Reno and kick our renter out and break the lease, but I'm not sure if we could do that or not. But yeah, we don't really have a backup. This is what we're in right now, so we gotta be
Although,
careful with it.
unlike Francis
But,
McDormand, you probably
yeah.
have enough money. You don't have to like you don't have to bug like your siblings for money to repair your RV when it happens.
Well, yeah, and unlike Francis in the movie Nomadland, now playing on Hulu, which Richie and I both watched last night. I mean, I've heard
Same
so many
here.
people talking about it. Yeah, I mean, the basic premise is like her husband died. I mean, and if you live in the Reno area, man, there is a lot of stuff that's like, oh, I know that place. I know that place. Because Empire, Nevada is where she was living. And to be honest, I didn't even know those track homes were behind that mine. I think I've probably seen them, but I've never really paid attention to them. Yeah. And I went and looked on satellite images and sure enough, they're back there. But anyway, she was living back there and working at this like gypsum mine or something. And it went out of business and they closed the town. Basically, everybody went home. And so then she was basically living out of her van and just doing seasonal work and whatever she could pick up, along the way. The difference here is, I'm still working full time. I'm working like 3 different things and, still working full time. So yeah, I mean, we're not traveling around looking for work. I'm able to do my work remotely from anywhere. So it's a nice skill to
And
have.
for me,
I gotta tell you.
let's see. Obviously, it it saves like I was thinking about it. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? I was basically here. I was at my apartment 24 hours every week, 24 to 30 hours every week, and that adds up to like what, over a month.
Yeah.
And yet I'm paying, and at this point, right now I'm like here for a week, so it like like I'm basically here half the month, so it kind of makes sense, but it's still a house payment every month. But
Yeah.
there was like
Yeah.
one project, what was it, in 2013, where I was like in Minnesota for like pretty much from, was it March through October? And I mean, at that point it made sense because my apartment at that point was cheaper than getting extended stay motel. But obviously now that Reno is kind of like, a
Right.
much more popular place to live, now it kind of doesn't make sense. And I was realizing, oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean, yeah. I say, well, you're right. Property values are climbing in Reno, which that's why your rent went up and
Yeah.
everything's going up. I mean, our house that we bought just a year and a half ago has gained 50, what was it? Almost $80,000 in value, according to the
Wow.
appraisal value. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, and half of that went up in the last 6 months.
Really? Oh, it's because of they're finally building, down the street from you, like that big giant blank property on Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta forget what you call it, but there's the movie theater there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like finally there's actually stuff there.
Yeah. I know that. Nice.
Oh, I was gonna
nice.
say,
So let's keep
oh
talking
yeah, I
about.
was gonna say that too. I was gonna ask you if like, do you use a 5-gallon bucket
Yeah.
or do you use a
Yeah,
two
go
and a
ahead.
half gallon bucket?
Well, my knees aren't what they used to be, so I use the 7-gallon. So the higher one. No, I mean, we've got our version of roughing it is like where we're at now because there's no sewer connection
Oh.
here, so we just have water and power. So I'm able to run my air conditioners and we have all the water, but we have to rely on our black tank and our gray tank. So that's our idea of roughing it is, we've got to basically watch what we can serve. Otherwise, we got to basically pull everything up and drive around to the dump station. But I think we can make it till Saturday.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, places like that, if it really came to a head, like we just, tanks are full and we don't want to go dump and it's like Thursday or Friday, we just walk down to the bathrooms. They're literally right over here. So, not that big a deal. But I couldn't imagine. To be honest, I couldn't imagine. I could imagine staying in a van, even for months at a time, if I'm off on just doing a thing. But like living in it full time and having that be like your constant thing, that is something.
Who was it?
Rough.
Who was it?
It's
Your
rough.
your friends? Was it Richard and Deanna? Lived out of a van?
Yeah, Deanna and Dave, her husband Dave. Yeah, yeah. Well, they had a van at first, which they bought from a mutual friend, acquaintance of ours. I wouldn't say friend, a disc golf playing friend of ours, and yeah, they bought his van. I'm like, did you sanitize it? But anyway, and then they bought a motorhome. Like they bought a legit motorhome, and it was kind of a smaller one compared to this, but. They had it out on that project in Battle Mountain that we were all out on. But then they ended up getting rid of it because, to be honest, they bought an older one and just the maintenance upkeep on it was too much. It was always, something was always breaking on it.
What's interesting?
But yeah, I don't know what they're doing now. They're down in Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, is he done with school?
Yeah. I have no idea. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. So, and neither of them are on social media, so I haven't been able to really keep up with them. But
what's interesting? God, the app you recommended, was it RV Trader? Just like Trulia, it calculates your monthly payment for you if you want. And I thought it was fascinating. I've been looking at I was realizing for the amount of money I'm paying for this apartment, I could get like a $250,000 RV and afford like the insurance and the and the gas money. I'm like, Jesus, man, this is like the worst. I mean, if it weren't for the neighborhood I'm in, I probably would have gotten rid of this apartment like as soon as that rent went up.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, if you're looking at just the monthly and the insurance and the gas, all in, we're probably at about $900 a month with this thing right now. If you were to really average it out. Sometimes it's more in gas and sometimes it's less because it depends on where you're going and how far you're going. And you have to factor in camping fees though, right? Like you have to factor that in because sometimes like this place we're at, it's not too bad. It's $35 a night. I think we're paying $230 for the week. We belong to an organization called Thousand Trails because we got it free with our RV. The company was offering it. We're gonna pay I think it's $700 or $600 per year renewal in June, but it allows us to stay 2 weeks for free in their parks. You got to be 2 weeks in and then 7 weeks out of the system, and then 2 weeks back in and 7 weeks out. And on the 7 weeks out, you're going to pay anywhere from $200 to $300 a week. So you have to factor in that $400 if you're not in the system.
Yeah, but I was also thinking that whatchamacallit?
Still in without factoring in food and stuff, you could probably do this for less than $1,300. Sorry, I think I locked up there.
But I was just thinking, that assumes you're even obviously you've got a Class A, so you have to be at like an actual formal campground. Well, you don't actually have to be, but it's like the simplest and easiest.
Well,
it's like the simplest and easiest. Whereas I was thinking with something smaller, I'd be able to take it anywhere I felt like, within reason, and I wouldn't necessarily need to pay, depending on where I am.
You're right. Definitely within reason though, because you're still going to have to come out of occasionally and empty your tanks. Unless you're not using your tanks and you're just using BLM land. That bush over there is looking really nice. But, and you can conserve like that, but you're going to want fresh water. You're going to want to empty your tanks. And, so you'll have to come into civilization every once in a while. Now the nice thing about this is, to be honest, this has a V12 engine in it. It's got, really high clearance. I'm not going to take this thing 4-wheel driving, but I've got 4 wheels in the back, 2 wheels in the front, and I can take this thing in some places where you probably wouldn't think so. And I'm fully self-contained. And
Yeah.
in June in Reno, we are having a full solar system with lithium batteries installed, full roof of solar, new controller inside that's Bluetooth, so I can and Wi-Fi, so I can actually check the condition of our charging and
Oh, nice.
batteries and all that stuff, and our tanks with my phone, and then also full lithium battery setup. We're getting 4 lithium batteries installed, as opposed to the 2 lead acids that we have right now.
Oh, wait.
So
Just to oh,
it's going to be
well, just
pretty
to
great.
inform the listeners, like can you give them a ballpark of what this might be costing?
Well, I will tell you the range that the company gave me for minimum install, like for a
Yeah.
Class A motorhome, like just to run anything, to the gold standard platinum install was anywhere from about $8,000 to $21,000. That was the range they quoted us. So we're landing somewhere in the middle, which means they've quoted us around 12. I think it's going to end up being around 10 because they're part of that quote is some woodwork that might has to be done because they got to build some cabinets and do some modifications to get the batteries in. They've got to run a bunch of wire, and they're overestimating the amount of work they're going to have to do to run the wire from the roof down, because they don't know what our RV looks like, right? They're just estimating based on what they know of RVs. So if it's a little simpler, then it's going to cost us a little less in hourly wages. If it's a little more if it's more complicated, then it's going to cost us more. But I think it's going to end up costing somewhere between 10 and 12K. But that allows us, because we could really go up to about 6 or 7 lithium ion batteries if we wanted to. We need a place to put those, but we could go up that high. But the lithium batteries are the most expensive component of the system. The rest is labor, right? The most expensive component is the lithium batteries, because they're like $1,200 a piece. So they're not cheap, but they're lighter than the lead acids, and they last a lot longer. Like with our lead acids that we have now fully charged, if we're just if we're overnighting somewhere where we're not plugged in and we shut down for the evening, we're not going to run the generator, and you can't run the air conditioners off the batteries. But if we're just like watching TV for a little while in the evening, and then, going to bed at night, maybe with a fan, like a ceiling fan running, like the external fan that sucks in air. If we've got just those 2 things running, our battery's unusable by morning. So it's just, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Those lead acids are just garbage when it comes to that. Now these batteries are like 5 years old, because they haven't been replaced since the coach was new. But, when we're sitting around 13 volts or so when we shut off the vehicle or shut off the generator. When the lead acid battery gets down to around 10 volts, it basically won't power the inverter. It'll still run your lights and stuff, but it's not enough to let the inverter go, to let your 110 outlets go. So with 4 lithium batteries, we should be able to run our air conditioners for a few hours on battery power, run pretty much everything else in the coach all night long, and have no problem with it. And then when the sun comes up the next day, we'll have 1,600 watts of solar on the roof to charge it up throughout the day.
How much in solar?
So I think it's 1,600 watts that we're going to have up there.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted the GeoPro, because obviously it comes with all the solar already installed.
Yeah, and how many panels are on the roof? Because I've heard people saying that one of the key things that they're trying to get people to buy trailers, one of the buzzwords is, solar's already installed, but turns out it's like a single 100-watt panel up there or something, which is going to take weeks to charge anything. So how much does that have on the roof?
It used to be 100 watts last year, but this year they upgraded to 190, and there's obviously an external plug, so you can plug in additional solar panels if you want.
Oh, like one of those. Yeah, like one of those briefcase solar kind of things. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, solar panels are cheap, dude. Like solar panels compared to everything else are the cheap part. You're probably going to want to buy a couple more and throw those up on the roof and just wire them in series. You can do that work yourself. That's, I would probably do that, because I'd probably want to bring it up to at least 400 watts for the trailer that size.
Interesting. One of the, obviously, I was just talking about the place where I'm working, and I was mentioning to Chris yesterday that I'm getting like a camper shell, which is like, the little, it's not like a camper, but it's like the little shell you put on the bed of your pickup truck. And it solves 2 problems. It solves I don't have to worry about my truck getting broken into again, because that town is super sketchy. And more importantly, when I was camping before, I would always get, super sketched out about leaving out my solar panels, because, I would just like leave them like on like my hood. And obviously anyone who's coming by during the day when we're
Yeah,
when we're out working can just like yank it and like grab it. Not only that, but whatever else it's hooked up to.
sure.
And I was thinking about it's like, wow, if I get this camper shell, I can basically just bolt a bunch as many solar panels to the roof as I felt like. And
Yeah,
obviously
there
I
you
would
go.
be using
Yeah,
that to power
just
my
bolt them down and
power
be good
like
with
my
it.
electronics when I'm working. But obviously when I have this camper, I could then plug it into the camper and then suddenly have the combined all the solar watts.
Hmm. Now, if you want to get real
Yeah.
fancy too, you can replace unless it already comes with it. They usually don't though. But if you have easy access to your roof, like if you can get up there real easy on that, either on the top of your truck or on top of the trailer, if you get those, they sell those mounts that are basically like a hinge, and you can hinge it up on
Ah,
either side. So when you stop for the day, depending on which way your trailer is facing, you can hinge it up because the more perpendicular your panels are to the sun, the more efficiency they have when you're building solar
ah.
power. So yeah, and that's really cool. So I'm not too
Yeah.
worried about it because that's why we're getting a full
Uh-huh.
roof of solar. I've seen super fancy
Yeah.
installs where you can basically push a button and the panels go like that, and we're not getting that.
Oh my God. Were you impressed
Yeah,
when we were watching
that would be pretty
when you were
fancy.
watching Nomadland when that Class A started talking to them when they entered?
Yeah. I mean, they went into a pretty nice diesel. I mean, that was probably a $500,000 motorhome that they went
Wow.
into. Yeah,
One thing
yeah,
I did have to admit that
yeah. Those are
oh, go
nice.
ahead.
Yeah, I'd say anytime you see two axles, I'm pointing to mine because I only have one axle, but anytime you see two axles on the rear, it's always a diesel and it's always
Eh,
expensive. So
well,
just
unless
keep
it's
that in
really
mind.
used. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say that
Well, even used diesels are expensive compared to
oh,
the
that's
gas
true.
equivalents.
But I find that depending, because obviously not only have I been looking
Yeah.
at RV Trader, I've also been looking at Craigslist, and you realize that, man, depreciation on like motorhomes is like crazy high. Like, especially since they tend to build them to look
Hmm.
of the time, and as soon as like an RV starts looking old fashioned, suddenly their value just goes way down.
Yeah, that's true. When you find people that know what they're looking for, though, with some of those older, higher
Yeah,
quality motorhomes, that sure they might look old, but you can refresh the inside, but it's got good bones. You know what I mean? Like they're just
that's
built
true.
really well, and also, pretty much every single one of these they have a depreciation
Oh, that's
bottom,
true.
right? Like unless they're sitting out in a field somewhere and rotting, if somebody takes care of it, you got to look at the depreciation curve. Like when does it level out
Uh,
and say,
yeah. Oh,
as long as everything works and everything's functional, it's going to have a low
oh,
end.
that's true. Because what was it? The other camper I was looking at, it's in the same size class, but what was it? The Airstream Base Camp is the other one I was looking at. And it's kind of crazy. Like they
Hmm.
brand new off the lot. They're 50,000K. But then the other day I was looking at RV Trader, and there was one for sale right over the hill,
Yeah.
and it's only 2 years old, and it was fully optioned, and it's 35K. And I'm like, wow, that is a lot of money to drop. But I'm like,
Mm,
huh, everyone says they're built really well, and I
yeah.
figured, if you buy it, not new, that might not be the worst thing. Although I will admit it doesn't have its tech package isn't as up to date as the Rockwood Geo Pros. But then again, I'm like, huh. I keep wondering, because obviously the
Yeah.
Airstreams always look cool. Will always look cool no matter what year it is.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So
Oh man, this is so cool.
anyway,
Yeah.
I'd say my final determination on
Yeah.
Nomadland was, it was really interesting. It was focused around definitely people who
Down
were
and out.
still working. Still, yeah. I mean, I don't even want
Oh,
to say that. Like, I want to say they're still working, but they were in jobs that were like kind of like unskilled labor
yeah.
jobs, and so they're just traveling around the country trying to find
Chris will be back in a second.
Either that or
Yeah,
oh,
it's
am I
cool.
locked up again?
We just filled it with dead air.
Yeah, I'll stop. Yeah, you go.
Well, I was gonna say that one thing that I did focus on was when she was talking to her sister, and she goes, "The mine closed down, and I don't understand why you stayed in Nevada." And I'm like, man, like, are you insane? Like, I mean, obviously Nevada is not for everyone, but I like the place, and I'm like,
Mhm.
come on, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I might not necessarily live there. I might like find a town that actually has things, but it's like, people still live in like Austin, Nevada. I mean, what is there for them to do other than just to be there? You know? Or what's the other town? Oh God, there's Austin and
yeah.
then there's the bigger town that you oh
I
God.
mean,
I always forget the name of it. The one you're heading east and that like you pass through Austin and then there's the next town where everyone always gasses up. No, closer
Ely?
than that. It's like an hour. Oh God.
No,
This is gonna bug me now, but whatever. You know. Yeah.
huh? I don't even know.
And I also thought it was
Yeah.
interesting that oh yeah.
Oh, Eureka.
I also thought it was interesting that a lot of people and
Yeah.
like I used to work in one of those warehouse jobs and I will this movie was making them out to be well, I mean they are terrible jobs, but there are plenty of people who live not just in Reno, but around Nevada who would consider those really good jobs, like great jobs. And yet this movie I feel like I mean,
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
definitely made them look not so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I
I
agree
mean,
to
there.
that.
I mean, what was it like your average Amazon
uh,
job, at least here in Nevada, pays like what $14 an hour, maybe 15, and that's like what 30 something thousand a year, like 32,000 $32,000 a year, and like for a lot of people here in Reno, like that's like a good wage,
mhm.
even though I personally would consider that a good wage, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it all depends on what you need to live on, right? Some people would consider that
Yeah.
good. Some people would not. So, one of the things I thought interesting that they really talked about in the movie, which I've heard
Yeah.
about quite a bit but never really looked into, is
Oh,
Amazon Camper Force. Um,
yeah.
I didn't really know what that was, and yeah, I
Oh,
dug into it a little bit. Turns out
yeah.
it's really just for seasonal hires, but they basically partner up with like RV parks and stuff nearby, and you get the discount on the RV park, I think, and you also get like a weekly stipend. Like I think it's
Oh, really?
$120 a week or something like that, which is not that much to be honest to
Yep.
cover your weekly fees for the campground. And yeah, and then also I think you get a bonus.
No.
Am I locked up again? I think you get a bonus at the end of
Oh, they were talking
the
about that,
contract.
weren't they, in the movie?
Yeah, a little bit, but I looked into it while I
Oh,
was
of course
watching it.
this thing would. Huh. Interesting. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm trying to monitor chat and do this at the same time. Haha. Perfect. Alrighty. Interesting.
Yeah.
And if you're in the stream, come and say hello. Interesting. Alrighty. Well, my chat app is acting up, so I can't see if anyone's saying hello to us. But if you are, hello back. Oh. Oh, good. We can hear you. We just can't see you moving.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. You'll need to see me. Yeah, I'm on I'm always on somewhat of a shaky internet connection. I don't usually run video
Oh,
on my
that's
Zoom
true.
calls. So,
Yeah.
just because of this. Sometimes I will. Yeah. But let me check my network. Yeah, I'm on the good one.
Yeah.
I did want to show my
Ooh.
new office setup, my new monitor that I got, which is
Oh,
the
yeah. I've
Oculus
seen you playing
Quest
around with
2.
that.
If you can see that. I don't know if it's yeah. It's pretty great, I gotta say. The Immersed VR app is what I've been using, and I
Yeah.
just got an email today. Let me pull that up. They raised another $2.4 million today in funding.
Wow.
So it's only going to get better. Yeah, I mean, this thing is pretty
Yeah.
great. What they're doing with it is pretty great, and I think it's going to get even better with what they're doing. So it's just awesome. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
because one of my friends who lives in Reno just got a
Oh,
job with the
really?
company I'm working for, and as soon as
Oh,
he
yeah.
gets a little more stable, gets a few weeks into this, he's going to get an Oculus Quest 2, and we're going to be able to do our collaborative meetings in VR
Oh,
space.
before I forget,
So
let's see. Have you been keeping
yeah,
up with the what was it? The DJI first FPV drone?
a little bit. It's not really my scene, but I've seen them come out, and they look like they've done a really good job at it. They look pretty
Oh,
responsive
by the way,
and
you
pretty
should definitely
fast.
hold hold up those goggles again now that we can actually see it moving. Neat. So they don't
There
look
they
that
are.
different from previous
Yeah.
gens. I mean, obviously, I don't know how different they could be.
No.
That's interesting. So is this interesting?
This,
Well, I mean,
all the
obviously, I
same.
guess they would have to. It's kind of like trying to come up with a
Yeah.
different shaped laptop or something.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So what did Rachel think of Nomadland?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. She liked it. Yeah, it was a really good, touching movie. I mean, if
Yeah.
you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it as comparing it to our current lifestyle, or you can look at it as, just a nice, a nice dramatic movie. One thing that I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to do very good for us, because I always kind of wonder if people think this about us, if they think we live in this because
Because I'm not gonna lie, I used to think that too.
we have to.
About certain people, not about you, but about other people.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, me too. If you're living to be honest, if you're living in a van and you've got, sheets up for curtains and stuff like that, you're probably not in the best point in your life. I got to say, I mean, unless
Yeah.
that's what you want, which is nothing wrong with that. Some
Well, the
people
thing
are just
is
happy
that
like that, right?
oh, go
But
ahead.
we're living in a 36-foot
Yeah.
3-slide Class A motorhome, so that's a little bit
Well, the
of
thing is
of
that
a different story.
what was it? One of the projects I work on, there's a biologist and she has her own company, and she was living out of fifth wheel with like her kid or whatever, and I thought, oh, poor lady. But then the other day I was watching a video about this fifth wheel, and it was like, kid you not, it was like nicer. It's nicer than my apartment. It had like a bajillion. It had like it had a full living room with like a couch and two Barco loungers and like an 80-inch flat
Yeah,
screen TV, and then it had a
yeah.
separate office area, and then a guest bedroom, and then a full bedroom and a
Mhm.
full-size fridge with an ice maker in it and like washer and dryer and everything. And I'm like, wow, that is like, so
Mhm.
when I hear that this biologist is now living in a this person who owns a company is living in the fifth wheel, now it makes me wonder, wow, maybe they're probably just living in a super fancy fifth wheel, which a lot of people, I feel like, if they're not familiar with RVs, would never even imagine that, how luxurious some of these RVs are.
I mean, you're totally right. Some of those fifth
Yeah.
wheels, man, they've got like 3 axles in the back. They've got, just they're really heavy. You need a dually truck to pull them, and they're
Yeah.
just like super fancy inside. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you can get the same thing in a Class A motorhome too. You're probably going to pay twice as much because it's on its own chassis. But it's if you've got the vehicle, a
The
fifth
thing is, the vehicle costs like 100K by itself.
we've talked about it. Oh, yeah, and that's what we're talking about. Like that's one of the big reasons we're probably not going to go to a fifth wheel or even because they've got
Yeah.
some really nice bumper pull trailers too, right? That are just long and really cool. And then you still have a nice big vehicle because one of the things we don't like is this car is not 4-wheel drive. We can't do a whole lot with it, outside of just driving it on the street. But if we had a bigger truck, then we could change
Uh,
this up and get like a fifth wheel or something. But then you're into it for 200K
Oh,
by the
before I
time you're all
forget,
said and done.
have you
So
thought about
yeah.
trading up to the Ford Mach-E, or is it the Mustang Mach-E, or whatever its name is?
No, we're not getting rid of this until we can get a fully electric, fully
Ah.
drive truck. I don't know what that's going to be, but 2021 is the year for
Oh, but I
electric
thought the
trucks.
Mach-E
Everything's
was a
coming out this year.
crossover
So
style SUV, although I don't know
yeah,
how off-roady that would be.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I'm starting to like some of the other new people in the space. You know, not just Rivian, but there's a few others too that have some pretty cool
Yeah.
stuff. Although I emailed Rivian and said, I asked him if it was going to be flat
Yeah.
towable because we don't want to put it on
Yeah.
a flat. It's a common thing for electric vehicles, fully electric
Why not?
vehicles, is that they're just not going to be flat towable because of the way
Oh.
the motors work and the inverters work. I don't know. It might just be that they haven't really thought about it and they haven't done the analysis to see if it's flat towable. You know what I mean? So we might just have to wait a little while on that to see if you can actually do it. So, because we'd have to get a diesel RV if we wanted to tow it behind a trailer, because we've only got so we could probably tow something heavier, but the hitch is
Oh,
only rated
wow.
for
Oh
5,000
my
pounds.
God, you could like tow another you could tow
So-
like a travel trailer behind you if you wanted.
I keep joking with Rachel about that. Like, if we didn't need the car, could we just tow a travel trailer that could be my office? But we'll tow my office and
Well, that's the
podcast
thing
studio
that
behind us.
attracted me to GeoPro, because basically it's like, it's they advertise them as like, I think that's why they're so popular in California, is people during the pandemic have been using them as like their mobile, as like an office in the backyard, because that's what they seem to advertise them on, at least on a lot of these California websites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking at it while you were talking about it earlier on RV Trader, and I mean the
Yeah.
price is good even for a 2021. That's a good price, and you know, it's I think you'd really enjoy it. You know, there's definitely some idiosyncrasies and some things you got to think about when you're towing a trailer and when you're living in one, even for
True.
projects, you know, not full time, but there's definitely some stuff you got to consider. You got to
Yeah.
keep those slides dust free. You know, that's one big thing, because it
depends on
has,
the
what has it
model.
got? One
There's, like,
slide on it, I think.
multiple.
You gotta,
The one
Okay.
I'm looking at is let's see, it's the
you just gotta think about stuff like that. You forget.
Well, I was gonna say that the model I'm looking at is the 15-foot model, which is comparable to the which is comparable to the Airstream base camp that I was also looking at. And that, as far as I know, it doesn't have any slide outs, but it does. Let's see, they have a special model where you can keep the table set up and still have a bed, which because obviously I don't need like a whole bunch of room. It's not like I'm traveling with a dog or anything.
Sure.
Mhm.
So is that the G15 TB?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually saw one of those
Yeah,
the
it'd go
other
a lot.
day, like in the town I'm working in. I saw one parked at the Circle K, and I'm like, oh man! And it was like covered in dust and everything. It was being towed by a Tacoma, just a little slightly newer than mine. I'm like, huh, wow, I could totally manage that. I mean, obviously it would,
Yeah.
it would kind of suck to be in such a small space, for like forever. But then I was thinking about it. It's like, I've lived in like my little tent, my little canvas tent for like months at a time, for like years on end.
Dude, you should totally buy this. I mean, the gross vehicle weight, 2,483 pounds. You got to add probably 500 for your stuff and a full tank of water. And you got to assume that you always have to assume that your black tank and your gray tank, I don't know if it has those, but your tanks and your water tanks are full and all your stuff's inside of it. So when you look at this weight, you got to add at least 500 pounds, maybe even 600 or 700 to see if you can tow it. And you're going to have stuff in the back of your truck too.
Oh, I know.
But this is such a light trailer. I mean, you'd have literally no problem, because your Tacoma, my Tacoma could tow 6,500 pounds, I think.
Yeah,
And
same with
yours
mine.
has got to be close to that, if not the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. Okay. So I figured. Yeah. Yeah. Man, that'd be super easy. You wouldn't even know it was back there.
Yeah. Oh man, I just got to get everything
Nice.
lined up first, because I definitely like the long-term
Yeah.
goal of like living in a travel trailer is definitely to get a house at some point down the line before it gets to be like California prices here, because it's like heading that way.
Well, and you're in an apartment too, so you don't do what we did. We bought this RV and had no place to put it. So luckily the dealer let us keep it on the lot until we went full time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, where are you going to put that trailer if you buy it in your home?
Well, exactly. Well, that's the thing. I'm gonna get rid of this apartment first. I mean, I'm not gonna like lay out my whole plan to everyone, but you know,
Yeah, sure,
I
sure.
am gonna get like a larger. First, I'm gonna get a larger storage unit and like put everything I want to keep in there, and then once this place is empty, then I'll get a travel
Mm-hmm.
trailer. Because like you said, you're totally right. There's no place for
Mm-hmm.
me to like
Nice.
like live here with a travel trailer, especially.
Yeah.
And the thing
Yeah.
is that I'd have to figure out what to do with my car, which I'm never getting rid of ever.
Yeah. Well, that thing's small enough. You could put that in a storage unit too, probably.
That's the crazy part. When I was in LA and had all the stuff that's in my apartment in a storage unit down there, I also kept my car in there too.
Mm. There you go.
Yeah, it was like it was easier to put
Nice.
that in there because my original plan for that storage unit was to like was to have my car in there, and then when I got back from a working, I would just back the truck into there and use my convertible. But I was always so busy that never actually worked. Even though my truck definitely fit into there
Yeah.
with all of my gear in it.
Right. Right.
Oh, before obviously
Well,
we're
I think
gonna.
we gotta wrap it up.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say one more thing. I did want to talk about
Yeah.
the for people who don't know it. Obviously, we can't see it right now since it's right behind me. But I did buy one of the M1 MacBooks, specifically the MacBook Air, and I have been using it to edit
Mhm.
video when I can. When I got a spare moment here and there. And I gotta say, man, that thing for the amount of money you're paying, that is the best laptop deal ever, which is not something you normally associate with Apple.
Yeah.
I will
So
say.
I've heard.
I will say that if anyone's looking for a recommendation right now, like if you're looking for a new computer that's gonna like last a while, and like that's just gonna
Mhm.
last a while and like does everything you need, I would say just go straight for the MacBook Air. Don't even bother with the Pro, because it's literally the same processor right now, and the only thing, and this Mac doesn't even get hot when I'm like running, like when I'm editing
Mhm.
video footage. It is crazy. It's also kind of crazy looking at how small the whole thing is because like, when I started, it was like a whole big
Nice.
thing to like bring my laptop and that MagSafe charger and then all the external hard drives whereas like, I mean I wish I could go grab it, but like it's crazy how small everything is now and how light it is. Although
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say that it is if you're like me and you're
Man.
used to editing on like two 24-inch 24-inch screens, it's quite a shock to go from like dual big screens to like a tiny 13-inch screen. Oh
That's all I
yeah.
gotta say, man. This
Oh,
right here. That's what you need. You
well, I
need
was gonna say that
VR.
I'm not sure about your dongle, but I have one of those USB-C dongles with the HDMI out, so I can theoretically hook it up to a
Yeah.
hotel, like to the hotel TV. Although I have to admit, I do use that for
To the TV. Yeah.
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 I do that with my PC right now, mostly to watch YouTube, but maybe I should be doing something more productive.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
and that actually leads into one thing. I
There
will
you
say
go.
that my channel, it doesn't look like I've been uploading a lot, but I have been working a lot. Actually been editing. I've got like whole bunches of footage that I have to edit and get
Mhm.
through. So I haven't given up. Like, I'm still uploading stuff. I'm still editing stuff. I just have to catch up.
Mhm.
you know. And it looks like your
Yeah. There
channel's
you go.
been looks like your channel's been pretty active. Like you just posted something today. Were you in Oregon?
Yeah. We were. Well, we posted something on Sunday. Yeah. We're caught up to about August, end of August.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the videos should start going a lot quicker because we're coming up to where we were on that project for all of September where we didn't really
yeah.
record anything, and then in October November and December we spent the whole time in Charlotte and didn't really record much then either.
Really?
So we've got some big gaps of like no content. Yeah, so
Ah.
that's gonna and honestly we're chilling out on a little bit of the recording now so we can kind of catch up with stuff we've done in the past, and we're starting to cut some ideas so
Yeah. Are you gonna let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
I was gonna say
I was just saying we got so much good stuff that I just want to put out there.
Yeah.
The lag here is really real.
Oh, I know. But I was gonna say, let's
Yeah.
see. Are you gonna like keep on with the same sort of content you've been making? Or are you gonna pivot directions or anything? Like, should there anything that people should look out for?
Not right away, because all the stuff that we've recorded up to this point has been in kind of the same style and theme. So we do have some other ideas, but it's going to be when we get a little more current with that, we're going to kind of change that up a little bit. So
Yeah.
for now, we're just going to stick with the more lifestyle type of things with some other stuff interspersed. But yeah, I'd like to get into more tips and tricks and stuff we've learned and gadgets and gear and stuff like that. So yeah, as we go along.
Oh, any APN news you want to pass on?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's been a lot going on. Like, if anyone's listened lately, there's like many more ads and stuff. If that's like a good thing, I don't know. Some people might.
Well,
not.
yeah, well, it's a good thing if you're running
and want to pay bills.
more we do of that, the more yeah, no, right. So the more we can. So we've got a podcast we're looking at bringing online here soon. We're just still kind of finalizing details on that.
Ooh.
And then our social media has really picked up too. If you don't follow us on Instagram or Twitter, go check it out, because my wife actually has been taking a lot of social media on, and we've started to do these audiograms.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like clips of the show, and it's been getting a lot of play. Like,
oh really?
Weirdly, most of them have been getting in the like 150 to 400 views, and the one we put up from the Sierra Mark podcast has almost 1,000 views from last week. And I was like, what the hell happened to that one? I don't know why that one hit so much traffic, but it really did. So.
Oh, and I did want to say one thing. I was listening to the newest episode of the Archaeology show, and I had to admit, when you were doing your little APN pitch, that was like the closest you've ever come to sounding like you were a PBS host during Pledge Drive week. I was like waiting for you to like offer people.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Hey, we do have tote bags on our store. I'm not going to give you one, but if you want to go buy one, go artpodnet.com/shop.
Also, I gotta admit, I kind of like the newsy. I kind of like the news focused shows too. Like, I learned a lot about the like I didn't even think about they didn't have.
Yeah, I like doing it.
Oh, neat.
Right? Yeah, we get a little bit of interesting feedback on those. Some people like them and some people don't.
Oh, really?
But we like them, so we're going to keep doing them.
Oh.
So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, interesting. Well, at least any engagement is engagement.
Well, some people would rather we spend more time rather than doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and people wish we'd spend more time sometimes on an article, or sometimes they think we spend too much time, and I'm like, well, it is what it is. This is our format, so
true.
You either like it or you don't.
True.
So
kind of like this episode of the Archaeology show. I'm actually going to be curious to see what the recording sounds like, because I know what it sounds like on my end, and it's like, wow.
We'll see. I know with some of the challenges and stuff, I might actually just drop this as bonus content for members and not put it in the regular feed. So, but we'll see. Depends on what it sounds like.
Because I don't know how Zoom handles it. It's interesting. Oh, and I've been, obviously, we could talk about this off air, but I've been curious. Has anyone, when you guys record the Sierra Mark podcast, I noticed you said that there's now you can now do video over over Zencaster. Have people been using that?
Yeah.
Not that people care about that, like on the live stream, but I'm curious about it.
I don't. Yeah, sure. I mean, Life in Ruins is they have only had a couple guests that wanted the video out. Like, sometimes guests don't want the video released, so
yeah,
there's that. We recorded an Archaeotech episode that will come out this week that has video attached to it. Neat. So you'll be able to find that. And we're just rolling it out slowly for whoever wants to do it. But a lot of people podcast for a reason, they don't want their video out there.
Oh, and I'm curious. So,
I'm encouraging people to do it more and more, and I'm trying to do it on our shows.
I'm curious. Will this mean that would it be possible to do a Zencaster video feed and then like live stream it? I mean, is that something that's built in the UI, or would you have to like do a workaround? Because that'd be kind of cool to
You'd have to do a workaround. It's not,
because that'd be cool to record like a CRM Arc podcast and have people like, ask questions in live time or whatever.
Yeah, that would be cool. But it's not part of the system right now. We'd have to use OBS or something um, to basically live stream it out, like capture that image or screen somehow and live stream it out. I don't know how we do it, but yeah. But they're constantly improving the platform. So now that they have video, they might include the ability to live stream and record simultaneously. Who knows?
Cool. Because I feel like
Yeah.
everyone always, I feel like out of all the shows, the CR Mark podcast is the one that people like have the most commentary and the most like the most they want to ask. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
things that like people don't know. Like, you'll be
Yeah.
interested in this. I remember, was it you or is it someone else who said that you want to retire when Gatorade bottles are like eligible for recording? And we're working with such
That's me.
the project, yeah. Oh yeah, see? And the project that I'm on in Southern California, the people there, some of them are so green that like they'll like come across like a Gatorade bottle that isn't even that old. They're like, "Is this something we record and collect?" Even though they've been told 50 years. They've been told 50 years, and then they're like, and they ask for every piece of trash. Like, is this something we collect and record? Is this something we collect and record? Is this something we collect and record? It's like, dude, that's like a Miller Lite bottle, or that's like a Miller Lite can. Like, it's like a can of Michelob that someone literally drank last week. Like, are you serious? And like literally, like, and I
Yeah.
should point out, by the way, that when they ask that question, it goes out to everyone because they make us all be in a common chat. And I'm like, oh my God, do I have to get like 100 text notifications about people asking about like Gatorade bottles and like, and like chip bottle and like, bags of chips.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Although it is
Wow.
interesting now that it's
Yeah.
71, like I remember, who was it, Bill White, who was talking about a few years ago about coming up with a plastic bottle typology, and I'm like, wow, that's almost like that's
Mhm.
almost here, which is kind of scary.
Yeah. I'm in 71.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when the
Yeah.
first plastic bottles came online, but
Yep.
like it's almost
So
here.
it's got to be. It's got to be. It's got to be the first plastic bottles that were like mass produced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they definitely had plastic containers, but were they using it for soda or something like that? I don't know. I don't know when that came around. So that's can't be too far off though.
Yeah. Oh, and I realize
Yeah.
we're getting long on time, so is there anything you wanted to plug before we head out?
No, I think that's it. We're just really hammering down on membership right now because to be honest, if we hit if we ever hit 1,000 members, I would turn off all the ads and make all the shows ad free. So, because I don't feel the need to do both. If we were totally listener supported,
Yeah.
I would make, like I said, everything ad free because that would be enough. And if we hit 1,000 members, that allows us to do full-time editor,
Ooh.
full-time social media, full-time producers, and just have people doing that stuff. So,
Yeah. Oh wait, where you at? Like, how many
that's
members so far?
we're at about 60.
All right. Wait, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and the reason is we've never really promoted it heavily. I mean, I'm sure there's a message on every show, but nobody listens to those. But we never really promoted it in show too heavily.
Ah,
And when we started the membership system about 3-4 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, we went up, we slowly climbed, and when we hit around 50 or 60, we've kind of always hovered around there because we might get, two or three new members one month, and then the next month we'll get 2 members and we'll lose 2 members, because they'll end the subscription for whatever
ah. Well, I mean, it happens. Interesting.
number. And
Huh.
yeah, I'm not too. Each person has their own circumstances, but I feel like out of 40 or 50,000 downloads we get every month, if only a small fraction of them became members, we'd all have, we.
Hey, you ever thought of making an ad to that effect? Because I feel like you talk about the membership, but you don't necessarily mention that you only need.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
a
I've got the
small
message.
fraction of them to actually become members.
Yeah, I mean, I should just change the language around it, see if that'll help people. So we might even drop the price. Who knows?
Alrighty. Cool.
So.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
All right.
cool. So I don't know when we'll be back. I mean, obviously, I'm like, around every 2 or 3 weeks, but obviously, it depends on Chris's schedule. Although when you're closer to back to Reno, maybe the things might become more common depending on how the internet goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we end up doing that project this summer. Its schedule's going to get very regular. So there you go.
Alrighty. And now,
Yeah.
hang on. Let's see. Oh, we'll see you guys next time, by the way.
All right.
Let's
See you later.